Good morning. Happy Sunday to everybody. How's everybody doing today? All right, rock and roll. So we're here on Sunday, 10 o'clock as usual, Eastern Standard Time. Welcome to everybody that's already here. And we have another great show, I think, lined up for you guys. I hope you guys will appreciate what we have lined up. And feel free to jump in on the chat. Don't be shy. For all the newcomers, welcome. For all the old familiar faces, welcome again as well. Guys, there's a lot of stuff happening. Black Friday's around the corner. Some deals are starting to pop up. I'm sure you guys have been busy playing and looking at new gear and maybe buying new stuff as well. So I want to say good morning to everybody that's already here. Thank you for joining me. I'm holding in my hands today. This is the Sir Standard Pro that I've had for a while now. Just playing this guitar because I haven't really played it much. And I'm in the midst of doing a little mod to this guitar. So I'll talk about that in a little bit. And I hope you guys are all rocking and rolling out there. I mean, show number 91 today. Already in the middle of November. Time's flying. I'm sure you're going to be looking at new stuff for Christmas. Maybe considering some Christmas presents either for yourself or for someone in your family or a friend. So there's a lot of stuff to look forward to. I got a little update regarding some new models that I got an opportunity to try this weekend, and some new toys as well. And for those of you who are new to the channel, please subscribe. I just want to remind everybody to consider subscribing to Addicted to Gear, because if you have a gear addiction like most of us here do, this is a place to get that support, be able to discuss all the latest stuff. When I say support, you got to take that with a grain of salt. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing, because, we don't necessarily talk you down from a purchase, although we can. But I mean, it's really a place to come and share your thoughts, your ideas. If you're considering a new purchase, a lot of us have already maybe purchased the same gear or have tried the same gear. It's a good place to come and ask opinions and share your thoughts. So I encourage everybody to jump in on the chat and be able to ask your questions. Don't wait for the conversation to shift towards whatever you want to ask, because that might take a while. So just jump in, ask your questions, and we'll answer them as much as we can. So good morning to everyone that's already here. I'm not going to go down the list. I know a lot of familiar faces are here today, so I'm not going to necessarily say hi to every single one, but you know who you are. And I think there's already a couple of questions in the chat, so I'm going to jump right in. We're going to try and squeeze as much information as we can in an hour, as much as we can. So I think one of the questions that came in here was, which one is my favorite Harley Benton? I saw that one scroll by here. I'm just trying to find the person who asked. So that was Andrew that asked that question. Good question, Andrew. Thank you for joining us here today. Do I have one favorite Harley Benton guitar? So the ones that have come through so far, just so you guys know, from Harley Benton. So I had a Fusion Pro, which was Fusion Pro T, which was a Telecaster style guitar. That I think ended up being my least favorite, and I'll explain to you why in a minute. Then I had the Fusion Pro, the Strat style guitar, which is a really nice guitar, I must say. Then I tried I have the junior style Harley Benton single cut in white, which I really like. And I also have a gold top Les Paul style Harley Benton and a 335 style semi-hollow body Harley Benton. They're all great guitars. It's hard to decide, The only reason I did not keep the Telecaster style Harley Benton guitar was because I already have a lot of Telecasters that I enjoy more. And that one wasn't a real, I'm going to say a real Telecaster, because it had a floating bridge on it. And the neck on that guitar was very similar to what I had on the Fusion Pro Strat style guitar. They were very similar feeling necks. So I felt it was a little redundant to have two guitars that were very similar. Because the Telecaster style guitar was black, glossy black, and it was terrible for fingerprints, I have to say. Like a black guitar, if you guys own black guitars, you already know how terrible it is with fingerprints, right? So I ended up selling that guitar, getting rid of that guitar, but I kept all the other ones. And the Les Paul gold top style Harley Benton that I have that has P90 pickups in it is really nice. A little bit on the heavy side in terms of weight, but it really plays nice. I like P90s a lot, and that's the only P90 gold top Les Paul style guitar that I have in my collection, and I like it a lot. So they're all really nice guitars. I'm really enjoying the junior style guitar that also has P90s. The white one right behind me there. I did a review on that one. By the way, I did a review on all those guitars. So if you're interested in checking that out, you can. And yeah, I really don't think you can go too wrong with Harley Benton guitars. I gotta say, the semi-hollow body guitar, which is right over my shoulder, right there, the third one, second one, sorry. I'm pointing to that one. That one, which is a 335 style guitar, really nice guitar. Very well put together, plays really nicely. No complaints. I haven't gotten a lemon, guys. I know a lot of you guys, or maybe not you guys, but a lot of people have complained that sometimes they get lemons from Harley Benton. They arrive with some defects or dings or damage. So far, I've gotten pretty lucky. So I can't complain. So out of the bunch, I'm going to say I like the Junior a lot. And the 335. I like those two guitars. Probably, I'm not going to say more, because actually they're all on par, man. They're all on par. So honestly, I don't think I have one that I like the least out of that bunch. I know I'm not a big help, but Andrew, maybe if you ask me another question, like specifically about one of those guitars, I can help you out a little bit. I'm a little bit on the fence sometimes when it comes to picking a winner. I just like them all sometimes. Dan says he just finished a Pacifica mod by adding a JB to the bridge and an SDS1 to the neck and mid, along with a Floyd rail tail. So that looks like a pretty nice mod overall, Dan. I would say it's more of an overhaul than a mod. You did, I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot in one go. The JB, I think you're going to like very much. I like the JBs. And the SDS ones also sound really, really nice as well. I haven't tried the rail tail yet from Floyd, but I hear good things. Let me know how you like the Floyd. A lot of people are switching over to those, which I think is awesome, that we have a little bit more choice in terms of what kind of bridges we want to go with. Rico says he finally received his Alex Lifeson Epi Les Paul. Congratulations, Rico. Is it everything you imagined? What's the review on that so far? Have you been playing it nonstop? And what's the verdict so far? Let us know. Magic Man says Harley Benton blew up out of nowhere. Yes and no. I mean, they've been around for a long time. Toman's been around for a long time. I think the reason why they blew up so quickly is because A, they provided a lot of reasonably priced guitars that people were really craving, because where all the other manufacturers were becoming more and more expensive, Harley Benton provided a lot of good quality guitars with a lot of really nice options for a very reasonable price. So the word really spread like wildfire. Also, in general, Thomann has been pretty aggressive promoting these guitars, and putting these guitars in the hands of a lot of people to review and comment. And a lot of people love to review these guitars and comment about their acquisitions as well. So there's a lot of information on these guitars floating around out there, and a lot of it is good. So, even if it's not a perfect guitar, sometimes they're great modding platforms, and you really can't complain about that. Paul wants to know how I deal with tube problems. So first of all, good morning, Paul. Do I have a tester? I do. I have a tester. I bought a tester a long time ago on eBay. I forget the name of it. It's a really old one. It comes with a booklet that has all of the options for all the different types of tubes and where you need to put all the switches to be able to test that particular type of tube. It has all of the tubes that you need to test. And I didn't pay it all that much. You can tell it's old. It smells old. When you open it up, it comes in a little case, looks like a little suitcase with a flip open top. Maybe one day I'll show that or do a review on it for anybody that's interested. But if you're going to be dealing with tube amps, it's a good investment to make. I probably paid the thing like maybe, I don't remember, maybe about $200, maybe less than $200. But it's very handy to troubleshoot, because honestly, if you have tube amps, eventually a tube's going to fail. And it's really difficult to figure out which tube. And now that the tubes are becoming more and more expensive, you don't necessarily want to change the entire set. You just want to find which one is defective or causing issues. Perfect way to do it with a tube tester. You can tell right away. So I hope that answers your question, Paul. Quicksilver says he doesn't like the Harley Benton logo. Looks so cheese, and then not a fan of the headstock. I agree that the logo, the font that they're using for the Harley Benton logo is not very elegant. It would be nice if they eventually redesigned that to make it look a little bit nicer, especially when they just put the HBs. Reminds me of the HB pencils. But it's something that I don't have issues overlooking, because overall the guitars, they're good. They're good quality. They're fun. Magic Man says, geez, Harley Benton fanatic. Magic Man says, I don't buy Harley Bentons for the same reason. I don't buy Squires. Just as a response to that, Magic Man, obviously everybody loves great gear. Everybody wants to have the best. But unfortunately, not everybody can afford that, So, and a lot of us don't necessarily need to spend, $4,000, $6,000 on a guitar. When a guitar that's well made and costs, under $500, if that works and scratches the itch, perfect. I've learned over time, after trying a lot of guitars, that sometimes price doesn't necessarily equate to a better guitar or a guitar that you enjoy playing more. Let's put it that way. Doesn't necessarily equate to a guitar that you enjoy playing more. I know for a fact, my collection, I have expensive guitars and very inexpensive guitars, and sometimes I end up playing the inexpensive guitars even more than the expensive ones. And the expensive ones just kind of rot in the cases. So I think there's a market for that. Let's just put it that way, But I understand some people just don't like playing Squires or playing Harley Bentons or playing, whatever brand XYZ, because it's not maybe as, promoted, or is not really thought of as a real professional guitar. Larry Dickman says, Mark, that's crazy. We're practically neighbors. See, we're getting people to figure out how close they are to one another. Eventually, you guys might end up setting up a jam session or something like that. Hey, Mike, happy Sunday to you. Nice to see you joining us today. And as a just as a continuation of that comment, Magic Man understands that there are better guitars out there. I'd rather save some extra scratch for something I'm happier with. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that, Magic Man. A lot of people have the dough, and you buy a good guitar. Maybe you buy one good guitar, and you enjoy it, and there's nothing wrong with that. As opposed to maybe some of us that are buying a lot of inexpensive guitars, hoping to find the one, and we maybe never really do. If you get lucky though, and you find a really great guitar that you enjoy playing and it's inexpensive, then it's a double whammy. It's beautiful. You save the money and you bought a guitar that you love, that makes you happy. So that works really well too. And it does happen. It's happened to me actually many times. Cohen has a good question here. Let's see if we can answer that one. First of all, welcome, Cohen. Nice to see you here. I just wonder about action height on acoustic guitars. What's your preference? What I found on acoustic guitars is that I tend to go a little bit higher than I do with an electric. There are standards out there for the height on the strings, and you can usually get that information from the manufacturer of the guitar. I know that Gibson offers that information. Fender offers that information. Almost all of them do. So depending on the brand of your acoustic guitar, there's going to be factory specs. But it depends on a couple of things. It depends on the gauge of your strings, if they're heavy gauge or light gauge strings, and whether or not you're a really aggressive strummer or picker. Because I find the harder you pick or strum, then the more chance of getting buzz out of your guitar. So it's really a question of the height of the strings, the action on the neck, how much of a bow you have, and how you play and what kind of strings you have. So those four things are really what's going to determine how high or how low your strings are. Typically what I try and do is I try and set the action as low as I can and still not hear buzz. As soon as I hear buzz, I just raise it up. But on an acoustic guitar, it's not as easy to adjust because the saddle, the bridge, is not as adjustable as on an electric guitar. So you have to nail it in before you file it down, right? So it takes a little bit more of calculation there. But I tend to go, when I file down the bridge for acoustic guitars, I usually go very, very slowly. Because, as soon as you get too low, that's it. You got to throw that away and start over. So you really have to determine what you need based on a couple of factors. So I can't really tell you, it's 4 millimeters or 6 millimeters or what, But on my guitars, like if I look at this guitar and if I zero out the first and last fret and I look at the seventh, I'm going to say there's probably, with the relief and everything, there's probably 2.5 millimeters. It's pretty low, the action. Mark wants to know if anyone ever gigged with an electric with a Piazzo for acoustic sounds. I did, so I could give you some feedback on that. I always found acoustic guitars are really hard to get a good, realistic sound out of unless you're miking them. The Piazzos for me always sound plinky, plasticky. I haven't come across one that I can get that sounds good. Um, Sometimes I feel personally like the miking systems where they actually have a mic in the hole of the acoustic guitar. It's almost like a lavalier mic, but it's inside. It's free floating. It's on a like a rigid wire, and it's basically sits in the middle of your guitar. I find that those for me sound the closest to a natural acoustic guitar without necessarily having to mic it, because it's not always easy to mic the acoustic guitar in a live situation. The Piazzos are very convenient because they're built into the bridge, but to me they don't sound as good. Mike wants to know, would you buy a Fender Super Reverb for home use? Would I have to buy an attenuator as well? Attenuator. Mike, welcome. Welcome. The answer is I would buy a Fender Super Reverb for home use, but I probably wouldn't be able to use it at home. First of all, the Super Reverbs are great amplifiers. They really are amazing amplifiers. They're not home friendly. So yeah, I would definitely think you would need to have an attenuator on something like that, unfortunately. So it really depends where you live. I mean, if you live in an apartment, in a condo, it's going to be hard, man. Neighbors are going to hate you. Just make sure, if you do live in an apartment or a condo, make sure you live in a place where your neighbors enjoy the same kind of music you do, because they're going to be enjoying the music along with you when you're playing. That's for sure, if you're playing the Super Reverb at home. Let me scroll down and get to a few more questions. Yeah, so Magic Man says that he's eyeing the G&L Tribute S500. I think they're a great alternative to the classic vibe Squire stuff. I'll pipe in and say the G&L stuff is really outstanding. I'm going to say that great value for the money in the G&L line. I've owned a few of them. I've owned the American versions when they first launched the G&L brand, and I kept that guitar for a long time. Like a fool, I ended up selling it. It was a beautiful Strat style G&L Legacy. It was an orange burst. Beautiful, beautiful guitar. Played extremely well, sounded extremely well. I don't know why I ended up selling that guitar, but I regret it. And the new ones are not the same. These were like the original first release guitars that they were making by hand. You still saw the little, what I call the birthmarks, the little holes that they drill to hold the piece of wood in place while they're carving it and all that kind of stuff. Great, great guitars. But even the ones that I've tried that are being made overseas nowadays, they're still very good guitars for the money. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with those guitars. Hey Jack, nice to see you, buddy. Good morning. I'm fine. I hope you're doing well too. Thank you for joining us today. Nice to see familiar faces here again. All right, I'm just going to scroll down a few comments here. Paul says that Harley Bentons have consciously, oh man, can you tell it's early in the morning and I haven't had coffee yet? Harley Bentons have consciously notched up their game with both quality control with their manufacture and inspection from their warehouse. Yeah, and it could also be that they've actually, maybe they're starting to choose better suppliers. Because you know they're not making those guitars themselves. They're buying them from China or whatever and having them made. So maybe they've upped the game in terms of their suppliers as well, because you know people are expecting a little bit more. Best use for my tube tester is for matching output tubes. Yeah, you definitely would be able to match those with a tube tester and make sure everything is optimal. I highly recommend a tube tester. Anybody that has a tube amplifier, money well spent, in my opinion. So we have 42 people here today, and nice to see everyone here. Again, I'm gonna say for the newcomers out there, please consider subscribing to the channel. We're over 20, I think 22,000 subscribers now, something like that. And I really do appreciate all of the support. If you enjoy gear, you enjoy guitars, and you find yourself buying gear on a regular basis, and you might consider yourself addicted to gear, then definitely you want to subscribe to the channel, because this is where all the good things happen. Quicksilver says that he I had the the Double Cut Junior, which I sold and kind of regret, if only because Gibson stopped making lefty DC Juniors. So yeah, unfortunately now, if you're having a harder time finding those guitars, especially for lefties, that is a shame. The one I have here from Harley Benton, it's kind of out of reach, so I'm not gonna grab it. But the white one that I got, I should have probably, if they were only offered that guitar in a different color. I'm not a big fan of white, so it was either white or silver sparkle. Two colors that I wasn't really 100% sold on. So I figured I'd grab the white one. And what I'm probably going to end up doing, or what I have in mind, is to eventually repaint that guitar. And I'm probably going to repaint it some kind of like a red, or a red sparkle, or something a little bit more with a vintage sort of feel to it. And I'm also going to change the plastic tuners, because I'm not a big fan of those plastic tuners. I know the original, the Juniors had those plastic tuners, but to me they always remind me of toys, like toy guitars. So I think I'm going to upgrade the tuners. I already ordered a set of not Harley Benton. What was I? Wilkinson tulip style tuners, but the chrome ones, not the plastic ones. And I'm gonna put those on. I think I'm gonna like the feel of those better than the vintagey ones. The thing with the vintagey ones is that they don't look vintagey, because the tuner knobs that are plastic are really harsh white, and I think the real vintagey ones are more of a cream color. So unless I figure out a way of making them darker to blend with the color that I'm after for that guitar, I might just change them. I haven't decided yet. I'm not really 100% sure, but I like the guitar, just the color. For me, the color. Some people like the white. I think I know I posted a picture on Instagram of that guitar. And I'm sure you guys, if you haven't already seen that guitar, just go to my reviews, because it's all there. They're all in my review videos that I've posted in the past. If I have a picture of it, I'll share it with you guys again. But no biggie. Yeah, there it is. So let's see if I can show you the picture. One sec. All right. So what I'll do is I'll just try to bear with me for a second, guys. Just trying to set that up. There we go. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that guitar right there on the screen. Let me know if you can see it. Anyways, that's the look of it. So it's a traditional look. I mean, it's not ugly. I mean, the white is not, I wouldn't say it's ugly. It goes nice. The contrast between the dark fretboard, the dark pickups, and the dark pickguard and knobs. Has a nice contrast to it. But I think I'm going to like it more if I paint it red or something like that. So eventually I'll decide what to do. I've put that project on the back burner because I have a few other projects that I'm already working on. So, all right. So Dave is saying that he miss having the choice of Carvin guitars. A shame that company changed. They were making some great guitars. I remember them coming out with a lot of nice, interesting models as well, but they never really gained a lot of popularity, I find. Never managed to break, into the realm of the bigger boys for some reason. Andrew says that he watched a review saying that the Harley Benton single cut smelled weird. Compared to what? I didn't notice a weird smell on mine, so it could be that it's maybe the way it was packaged or something. I don't know. I don't usually go around sniffing my guitars. Does this one smell weird? So it doesn't really smell of anything. Okay, what's next on my gas list? I came extremely close this weekend. One guitar that I don't have, I never actually owned one, is an SG. And I don't have I'm not really gassing for an SG, but I do feel like it would be nice to have one in the collection. I came across someone this weekend selling an Epiphone SG with P90s. And it looked like it was a nice guitar. And the price was extremely, extremely low. So I came really close to picking up that guitar. I'm not a huge fan of Epiphones, especially the ones with the older headstocks. Some of the newer models that they're coming out with have really nice or interesting colors. They're more, they're not necessarily just the wood that you see there. They're more like they have sparkle colors now, and they offer them in P90s and stuff like that. So eventually I might just pick one up. I don't have too much gas for guitars right now because I'm working on a few projects, home-built projects of my own. So I have enough guitars to keep me busy for a while, as you can see from some of the ones that are behind me, as well as some of the ones that that I've been eyeing recently. But there's always a few that are going to give me some gas. Right now, I'm going to say probably the SG's on the radar. Beyond that, I don't think I have anything too crazy lined up. Mark says that he bought the PRS SE Hollow Body 2 Piazzo. Now, that's a sweet guitar, Mark. The hollow body looks really, really nice. I'd love to see a picture of that guitar. And I think you're going to be really happy with the hollow body as well. I haven't tried a full hollow body PRS. I've tried the semi-hollow ones, and they just sound great and play really well. Really, really well. The funny thing is, Mark, I tried this weekend, I finally tried the Silver Sky. I know a lot of people may not like this guitar. I tried this one because I actually went and took a little drive/visit to my local guitar shop this weekend. I was looking, I needed some pots, switches and stuff for the builds that I'm working on. So I said, let me go down and grab them. First of all, that was a big mistake because it ended up, I bought, what did I buy? I bought a switch, a 3-way switch. I bought three 500K pots, right? Cost me $80. That's crazy, man. You know, $9 a pot. It was 9 something for the pots. The switch cost me like $40 plus the taxes and whatever. It's crazy. So I got taken to the cleaners. Mental note to self: next time order online, buy in bulk, and you get a better deal. Anyways, this Silver Sky they had in the shop, and I've never played one before because they never had them. So they weren't selling it new. It was actually a used one that somebody brought in and was trying to sell. So I actually ended up playing it and trying it, and it's very interesting because the neck on that guitar does not feel like a Strat. It feels like a PRS. It's crazy because it's a little bit bulkier in the back, and it definitely has that PRS feel to it. Nothing like a Strat. So I understand why people that like PRSs like the Silver Sky, because now you do have the comfortable Strat style body with a very comfortable PRS style neck, and it's really doing its own thing. I didn't like the color. Obviously, I didn't like the price. They're extremely expensive, but I get why people like those guitars, and it felt really nice. So I was happy to finally get an opportunity to try one of those guitars. Yeah, Mark, please do message me on Instagram. Send me those photos of that guitar. I'd love to see it. Congratulations, by the way. I'm sure you're gonna be like super happy. The only issue again is the Piazzos. Let me know what you think. Maybe the Piazzos on that guitar are really good. I'm just I'm looking through some of the other comments. Cohen says that he fixed an Epiphone SG 2 weeks ago, and he had the chance to play that guitar for a while, and he really digs it. Although I was never drawn towards SGs, but I kind of now. I think he meant I kind of am now. Probably end up building one myself. Yeah, like you, Cohen, I was never a big fan of SGs because the ones that I've tried always felt a little awkward. Their body was kind of very thin. The neck always was a little bit longer. I'm used to playing Les Pauls and stuff like that. And a couple of the ones that I tried, the body wasn't very well balanced. Maybe it was some of the newer ones where I felt the neck was a little bit heavier and it would like tilt a little bit more. So for me, that's probably the why I never ended up buying an SG. But one day, I'm sure I will probably own one. I'm almost positive. It's just a question of, I guess, not finding the right one yet. Hey, Fat Philosopher, nice to see you, buddy. He says, this week in gear, sold 2 pedals and buying a used Fender Jazz bass. 89 made in Japan. Cool. The Fender Jazz basses are super nice instruments. As a guitarist, you always need a bass, right? In case you want to lay down some tracks and stuff like that. It's always a nice thing to have, just in case. I have a couple of like knockaround basses as well in the collection, and anytime I need to lay something down, you just bring out the bass and you're good to go. By the way, Fat Philosopher, I didn't mean to like rub it in or rub it in. I sent Fat Philosopher a photo on Instagram because when I was in the shop, I happened to see that they had in the shop the Squire Purple Telecasters that I think Fat Philosopher is waiting for. I was actually surprised to see that there. Here's a photo that I sent to Fat Philosopher. It's a really nice guitar, by the way, Fat Philosopher. So I don't know if I would cancel the order. I know you're getting fed up of waiting, but honestly, If I didn't already have the purple one that I built, I probably would have bought it. It felt really nice. It looked really good. Couple of minor upgrades and you're in business, you know. So if any of you have them on order and you haven't purchased them yet, I mean, you haven't received them yet, hold off. They're really nice guitars. I like them. Paul says that he bought an SG Standard to flip it, but it's the best sounding guitar I ever had. And I had all three of the classic Les Paul Standard, Custom, and Special P90, Gold Top, and none were this good. Wow. That's saying a lot, Paul. I'm glad you found the one. You know, it's odd, right? Because as I said in the past, I started off playing Strats almost exclusively. All the guitars that I ended up buying at first were Strats. Strats. Then I started looking at Les Pauls. I bought a few. I liked them. Kept buying Les Pauls. The last one that I ended up trying were Telecasters. And I went through a long phase where I wasn't even looking at Telecasters. When I finally tried one, I was amazed. It was like a great guitar, and I love Telecasters now. And I went through so many years shunning Telecasters, and now I regret that. I mean, I regret the loss of time. And I think I might be doing the same with SGs. I'm not sure, but I gotta give it a little bit of another shot, maybe, perhaps. You know, it's just because I do like the P90s on the SGs, though. I like the P90s probably more than the humbuckers, so I don't know. We'll see. I'm keeping my eyes open, guys. Keeping my eyes open, guys. Kevin would like to get a hold of the G&L Rampage Jerry Cantrell whiskey color. Can't find one. I came across one somewhere. I forget where. It might have been on Reverb. We might want to check Reverb, Kevin. Quicksilver says, I think PRS will release an SE version of the Silver Sky. That's an interesting idea, Quicksilver. I think if they would do that, it would be a very hot seller. Because unlike the core models that definitely have, you know, all of the flame happening in the wood and the carve, the very extreme carve compared to the SE models, the Silver Sky isn't really, it wouldn't necessarily change all that much, because if you think of it, like the body is pretty inexpensive because there's no really expensive wood under there. Most of them are painted an opaque color, so they can definitely carve out, you know, something very similar. And if they would come out with an SE model of the Silver Sky, I probably would buy one. But it would have to be under $1,000. Like, I'm not going to spend $1,000. Mark says, I loved my Silver Sky. Mark, do you still have the Silver Sky, or did you sell that one now? Because you are saying loved, past tense, so I'm assuming you sold that one. Magic Man says he's not a PRS fan either. I'm wondering how many of you guys are not fans. Like, have you tried a few different ones? Because they're not all the same, eh? You know that, right? I originally had a really heavy case of gas for the McCarty version of the PRS. Tried it after so long waiting to get my hands on that guitar. I didn't like it. Although it looks a lot like the PRS 245, it really didn't feel the same at all. And I didn't like it. And I also had originally purchased a PRS a standard, like a 22. and I didn't like that one either. So for me, the 245 is the one. I just love that particular model, and I have the core model of the 245, as well as two different versions of the 245. I have a semi hollow body Zach Myers version, which I love, and a regular SE 245 as well, and great guitars. Andrew wants to know if we like the new Epiphone headstock. I think it's moving in the right direction, but it still looks weird to me. Not as weird as the original one. The original one seemed to be very curly Q, and I think the new ones are nicer. But they should have just put a straight Gibson headstock on it with Epiphone written on it, and be done with it. Again, I think they would have sold so many more guitars if they would have done that. Because honestly, that is the main reason, one of the main reasons, I know it's shallow, but it's one of the main reasons why I don't buy Epiphones. I just don't like the headstocks. I like the rest of the guitar. Just don't like the headstock. Call me shallow. It's just me. Just like some of you guys don't like the fretboard chickens for the PRS. I don't like the headstocks on the Epiphones. So sue me. So Mark's doing his first gig with the hollow body Piazzo this Friday. So trial by fire with the Piazzo. Let me know, man. Let me know. I'm really curious. KJ38 wants to know what's the hype on the Epiphone Prophecy SGs. What do you mean by hype? I wasn't aware that there was hype on that guitar. What would you like to know specifically on that? Hey Landon, nice to see you, buddy. Keep cranking out those videos. If you guys are interested in catching someone else who I think is probably addicted to gear, Landon on his channel makes a lot of really nice videos on guitars as well, so check him out. Leo says the new Gibson Wino the series are sweet but crazy expensive. Just so you guys know, I had a pretty extensive chat with a friend of mine at the Guitar Center yesterday, and he was telling me exactly that prices are going up across the board. That's number one. Number two, delays in orders. So he was telling me that what at least Fender is doing is that they're putting priority on orders that are going directly to customers as opposed to orders that are going to stores. So if the stores are ordering any kind of guitars, or if they've placed an order, it's going to be a while before they get them. So they're trying to crank out the orders to the customers first. And part of the reason for these delays in shipment is because they're getting their components from all over the place. So yeah, they can crank out the guitars, but everything that they're using, like if they're using a Wilkinson bridge, or if they're using tuners that come from another company, or other components, pots, whatever, unless they're making them in-house, which I doubt very much Fender makes every single piece of their guitars in-house. Those are getting delayed. And, obviously you can't ship out a guitar with a missing tone knob or something, or a pot or a switch. So that is the reason. What else? Other than that, I think I also heard that Godin is coming out with a new model similar to like a Strat style model, but it has some features in it that's a little different, with some humbuckers. A very heavy guitar, and part of the reason for the weight is there's a massive block in that guitar for sustain, which will be interesting once it comes out. This is like a demo model. that they were just asking opinions on, and I got the scoop on that one. So it'll be interesting to check that out once it comes out. So Fat Philosopher says PRS overbrands themselves. ESP, bigger PRS in my opinion, or better than PRS in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, hey, everybody's got a favorite. I'm not saying you got to go out and buy PRS guitars just because I like them. If they don't do it for you, that's fine. It's not a competition, guys. Or maybe it is. I'm not really sure. Um, so Dan of New Jersey, welcome Dan. Thinking about a Princeton 12-inch. Do people like them? I like them. I like them. Dan, I tried Princeton's recently. I didn't try the 12-inch version. I tried the 10-inch version. My, I'm gonna say my opinion was that the 12-inch version was the way to go because I felt that the 10-inch version would not have enough bass. I was wrong. I was mistaken. So just so you know, there's plenty of bass on those Princetons with a 10-inch speaker. So maybe 12 will be even more. I'm not really sure. You would have to try one. I haven't tried one with a 12-inch speaker in it. But I really like the Princetons. I think they sound great. They're a great amplifier for home use. I just haven't pulled the trigger on one yet. But eventually, again, it's on my list. It's on my radar. One other amplifier that is on my radar, and it's very similar to the Princeton, and I feel in many cases probably better, is it's called the Brunetti Singleman. It's got more wattage than the Princeton. It's very, very similar in terms of sound. I just find it's a little more flexible. Not extremely expensive. It's a combo amplifier, but it comes in different flavors in terms of wattage. I think you can get a 30-watt version and like a 15-watt version, I'm going to say. Except they're made in Italy. Hard to get, hard to try. I would have probably bought one by now if they were easy to find locally, but they're not. I'm extremely happy with the Brunetti Pleximan that I bought, and that is sort of their take on the Plexi. And I bought that in a head version. I still have it. I like it. It's great. Very, very well built. Hand built amps, and good quality. So yeah, Mark, exactly, man. Different strokes for different folks. For Mark, PRS rules overall. A lot of people are buying those guitars. There's a reason why they're dishing out that kind of cash. I mean, obviously, if those guitars were less expensive, I'd be all over them. I can't afford to buy multiple core PRSs. I just don't make that kind of scratch. I would have to get rid of quite a few guitars before I can do that. So for those of you who have the money, man, more power to you. Mark EFX. Welcome, Mark. I was guessing for a new BW EVH Striped Series Strat. But since it's such an iconic look, especially to EVH, I think playing anything but EVH hard rock metal, you would look out of place. I totally agree. Mark, 100%. Although they are great guitars. I love them. I love the look of the black and white striped one. I have, to scratch that itch, Mark, I have the intention of making one eventually, just building my own. Just to scratch the itch, and not necessarily to go out and play in front of people with it, but just to have in the collection, just like the EVH that I'm building, the Frankenstrat. I probably will rarely take that guitar out of the house, but I tell you what, I'm going to really enjoy the heck out of playing that guitar in the house, so there's nothing wrong with that. Hey, as a matter of fact, as I was talking about going to the shop the other day and checking out their stuff, they actually had an EVH not a Wolfgang, a Frankenstrat EVH Mexican version. These are the new ones that are coming out that are kind of relict. The first batch, they were kind of pristine. Now they're coming out with a relict one. It looks like this. Do I have a picture of that guitar? I think I do. Looks like this. So basically, this guitar was on the on the shelf there, on the stands. I saw it. I had to take a look at it up close because I'm building one myself. Very interesting when you look at them up close. First of all, they're $2,500, and these are the Mexicans. It amazes me how Fender has managed to paint these guitars. Obviously, they're not striping these guitars one at a time because it would be too time consuming to do that. So they probably have some kind of a silk screen process, which I don't know about, but I'm sure they have some kind of a silk screen process to get these guitars painted and cranked out. They look nice. I wouldn't spend $2,500 on it, and having a look at it up close, relic it nicely. I did notice that often they overdo the color of the neck on those guitars. Some of them that I've seen are really dark. Eddie's just wasn't that dark. From the photos that I saw from the museum when the original Frankenstrat was posted there, I collected all of those shots and I was comparing it to it's dark, but not that dark. Some of them are overdone. Obviously, it didn't have the wheel at the bottom for the adjustment truss rod. It was more of a Strat style neck on that guitar. Didn't have the wheel. And what else? They have the tuna on that model, which from the photos that I saw, Eddie didn't have the tuna on that guitar yet. Maybe later on he added it. But I was looking mostly at the pickups, and they're definitely raised up. They were actually up pretty high. Like if you look at this guitar, because it's a Strat style bridge, it's very low. Anytime you put in a Floyd, it's going to raise the action on the strings. So subsequently, the bridge humbucker has to be raised, but it's raised pretty high on that particular model. I saw that there's foam underneath to keep it in place, and they did put some little spacers underneath the legs, I guess so that the screw wouldn't go through the wood, because the wood is very thin in that place, because it goes all the way back to the cavity here. So you only probably have maybe 1/4 of an inch of wood between the front and the back of the guitar. So if you try and screw the humbuckers directly into the wood like Eddie did, it's going to go out the other side unless your screws are really, really short. So they put these plastic spacers underneath to be able to make sure that the screw doesn't go all the way through. I'm going to have to do something similar to mine as well. Guys, I learned so much out of trying to build the Frankenstrat, and it all kind of makes sense now. When you build it, you kind of understand what Eddie had to do to get this thing to work properly, and I had to do the same thing, and I learned a lot from it, and I think I'll probably make a video once the guitar is finished, and I'll talk about that. For any of you guys willing to eventually have enough courage to build your own, I think it could be pretty helpful. Right now, the only thing I'm missing to finish the build are the pickups. I actually ordered a really nice set of Frankenstrat pickups from Pariah, and they should be arriving tomorrow. So hopefully, if there's no delays, this week I should have the pickups, and then I could wire up the whole thing and finally hear what it sounds like and play through it. And it's not final. The guitar's not finished. There's still some tweaks that need to happen. But that's the part I love the best, is just tweaking it so you can get it just right, you know. Mark says he's lusting over the HSS Player Strat with a Floyd Rose. That's a nice looking guitar. I think Mark, they actually also have, if I'm not mistaken, Squier also makes one with a Floyd HSS as well. I saw it in the store, but it's got a big headstock on it. That's the only part I didn't like. It was a painted headstock, and it was a big headstock. So I know that's not the one you're talking about. I just wanted to let you know. Hey, Fat Philosopher, I'm glad you didn't cancel because, like I said, man, it felt nice. I specifically thought of you when I saw it in the store, and like I said, if I didn't already have the purple Telecaster that I built, I probably would have purchased it. It was really nice. I think you're gonna be super happy with it once it arrives, though. Just be patient, man. It'll get there. Dave says he put a four-way switch in his Telecaster and it rocks. I did the same on the purple one. I got a really sweet wiring harness kit from Gun Street. If you guys don't know Gun Street, check them out. They have really great stuff. And yeah, I decided to go with the four-way with the push-pull. And yeah, couldn't be happier with it. It makes a big difference. It's funny because, as I mentioned, I'm holding this is the Standard Pro, and this one, obviously, single humbucker. I could never get used to the difference in sound between the singles and the humbucker. So I realized that I'm either a singles guy or a humbucker guy, and I just don't bond very well to a guitar that has both. I just find there's too much of a difference in tone when you're switching. So although I tried the original Sir pickups in this guitar, which sounded great, I tried a different set of pickups from Porter pickups in here. They also sound great, but I realized that it's not the pickups, it's really just the difference in tone when switching between humbuckers and single coils. So I went through the hassle of ordering this new pickguard from Sir. This is the new pickguard, which fits perfectly in this guitar. So I don't have to drill holes or anything like that. I'm going to take this pickguard out. I'm going to put this pickguard in. That's going to be the next little project. Just so you guys know, these pickups that are in this pickguard are the Gatekeeper pickups that are being made by Porter, and I thought I'd give them a try because you guys might think I'm a little bit nuts. I mean, this is a pretty expensive guitar, and I'm putting like budget pickups in this guitar, but I was really impressed with the Gatekeeper pickups that I put into one of my Telecasters that I figured I'd give the Gatekeeper humbuckers a go, and we'll see. Hopefully I'll like them. If not, I'll put another set of pickups in there till I find the ones that work really great with this guitar. Because honestly, the guitar itself is great. The neck feels wonderful. It's really a great guitar. But I haven't been, playing the guitar because of the sound. That's the most important thing for me. So if I can get this guitar and upgrade it to breathe new life into it, I'm going to really enjoy finally playing this guitar. And I've had this guitar for such a long time, and it's just been sitting there, and it's a shame. William is in the house. Good morning, William. William says, I think G&L Custom Shop would make whatever you want for the guy who wants the Rampage. Yeah, probably they do have a custom shop now, which is correct, but they're extremely expensive, right? So yes, you can get what you want. You can get them to make with you what you want, but you're going to have to pay for it. So, by the way, guys, I did put a poll question online yesterday. The poll question was, what style of guitarist are you? Metalhead, jazz cat, blues, blues bendy, country boy. I could only put 5. The polls only they limit you to 5 responses. Obviously, there's more than that, but I'm just wanted to remind you guys to take the poll. I'm just curious to see what categories you guys fit in, and I'll share the results with you guys on the next show as well. The other thing I wanted to say was that I did get a new toy, and here, let me share that with you. Man, it's still plugged in because I didn't get an opportunity to unplug everything. I was playing with it yesterday. So let me just... I got this recently. This is the Ampero Stomp. And I'm super happy with it, guys. So far, I'm still getting familiar with it. I did have the other Amperos that you probably saw on my reviews as well. The Stomp sounds really, really good. I'm gonna do a full review on this video on this product. I'm gonna do probably a few reviews because it's chock full of great sounds and features, and it's I think it's gonna really probably eat some of Line 6's lunch. I think they did a really good job with this. It's built extremely well. It's not plastic, metal enclosure. They have all the right ins and outs. In here, they've got a control foot switch in and out. They have the regular mono stereo inputs, balanced outputs. They have the MIDI outputs on the side as well here. They have the send return if you want to put other effects in there, as well as an auxiliary in and headphone out. And it's a really small unit that you wouldn't hesitate throwing into your case and bringing to the gig. And I've been playing this now for a day and a half, 2 days. So far, I'm really blown away by the quality of the sounds. They do say that they have what they call CDCM HD Gen 2 amp modeling technology in here with the tri-core DSP. So you're definitely getting better quality sounds. I could vouch that the reverbs sound really good on this. And one of the things that I really look for in any kind of multi-effects unit is how good or how convincing the clean sounds are. That's always, I feel, the shortcomings on any multi-effects is that to me the clean sounds are not punchy enough. They don't really convince me. This one really does. So I'm gonna be doing quite a few reviews on it. I'm also probably gonna do a live session on this unit, which I've never done before. But I know there's a lot of people that have questions on this particular unit because the Ampero 2 Stomp has not really hit the streets yet. So I want to be able to do a live session where I'm going to be playing through the unit, and I want to be able to answer questions on the fly because a lot of people do have questions, and it's really difficult to answer all the questions in one review. So I figured by doing the review live, people will be able to hear it and be able to, ask me to check out whatever functions or features that are in the unit, and doing it live, I think, would be the best way. Andrew, this is called the Ampero 2 Stomp. And, I know I always flip-flop. I flip-flop because sometimes I'm like, no, real amp and a pedal board is the way to go. And sometimes I flip-flop and I'm like, the multi-effects definitely has some advantages. And I'm doing it again because, every time there's a new one that comes out, I need to reevaluate it because I know that the technology is just constantly changing. And I know it's getting close. I mean, the Axe-Fx has really become a staple for a lot of performing acts these days that have chosen to simplify their rig and be able to do all of the patching and routing and all of the different effects with the Axe effects, and it gets very, very close. And I think a lot of times for the people in the audience, they're not going to know the difference. So getting my hands on a little unit that is affordable and has a lot of it's chock full of effects, chock full of amp cabinets and different things that I can easily take to a gig, to me is huge. There's also some really convincing acoustic guitar simulations in here as well, which I feel are quite good, and usually they fall short. So what I'm going to be doing is tonight I have a rehearsal. I'm going to be taking this guy tonight, even though it's not really set up. I'm really just going to be playing through the stock factory sounds. I usually like to tweak them. I've only tweaked a couple, but I think they're going to be enough for me to do what I need to do tonight. And I'm going to be taking that, and I'm going to be taking my this guy, the Headrush, FR speaker, and I'm going to be trying to do the rehearsal tonight on the fly with this new unit and to see if I can get a convincing sound out of it. And if I can, I might just go that route. This unit is around, it's about $500. Honestly, with the amount of effects, cabinets, and the stuff that you can do with this unit, $500 is a steal. If you ask my personal opinion. My pedal board that I showed last week with the pedals on it, probably almost $1,000, and there's nowhere near the amount of effects you have in here, as well as the amount of cabinets, heads, microphones, and when you throw in IRs, you really can't compete in terms of a tool that's going to be able to do it all. Stereo effects, very difficult to do that as well. Built-in looper, built-in tuner, and the list just goes on and on. Let's see here. William says, I watched a demo on the Ampero 2 last night. Seems cool. I have a Pod Go though. Don't need another multi-effects. Yeah, the Pod Go, a lot of people have those units. I actually went to the store a few years back with the intention of possibly purchasing the Pod Go. And I came home with the Ampero. And that was the first one, the full size Ampero one with the side foot pedal, the expression pedal / wah pedal. I still have it here, and I just tried them side by side, and I ended up coming home with that one. I just felt that the sounds on the Ampero, to me, were more what I was looking for. But I know a lot of people They do like that the Pod Go. Just going through the last comments here. Tonefish says, I have an Ampero. It sounded great, but they never had any updates. Then they release a different unit. So I'm out. That's one of the things that that you can't really control. You don't know how long the unit's going to be supported for. But the thing is, what kind of updates did you want from them? I think the issue probably was, you could only squeeze so many effects in a unit that has a predetermined amount of horsepower in terms of DSP. So if you're expecting more sounds or different selection of amplifiers and whatnot, there's only so much you can add to a unit before it's gonna just tap out in terms of just processing power. So I think that's the reason why they came out with this one, because they did definitely provide more processing power in this one. and yet you can't go crazy, because you can indeed, if you try to like really go crazy with the multi effects modulation sound specifically, you will tap out. It will tell you like you're kind of overloading at this point, and you have to kind of reconfigure your chain so that you're able to do it all. It's not like the, you know, the very expensive Axe effects that really has a lot of computer power in it, and you probably won't tap out on that one. It probably will be able to handle most of what you need to do. That's why it's so expensive, you know. But at $500, and the previous one was like a little bit less expensive than that, yeah, you're definitely it's gonna tap out. Rico wants to know what an IR is. An IR, Rico, is an impulse response. And it basically is a file that you can load into these multi-effects units, and pedals too nowadays, a lot of them. And you can actually tell the unit how to model a specific amplifier. So for example, if I like this particular amp behind me, which is a 412 with Celestians, if I get an IR of this particular cabinet, it's going to be extremely close to what that cabinet sounds like in the modeler. And there's a lot of companies that specialize in making IRs. And you can actually buy them and download them and load them into your units to get that sound. Quicksilver says, yeah, but the HX Stomp is $600, so it's not such an easy decision like the MG30. I'm still trying to get my hands on the MG30. I would love to do a shootout between the Ampero 2 Stomp and the MG30 when it comes out. Because honestly, I do think that the MG30, the one I had previous, which is the MG300, was very inexpensive, but the sounds were pretty good. And I'm hoping that the MG30 is going to be even better. So once I do get my hands on one of those, definitely going to do a shootout side-by-side comparison with the two. And we'll see who's going to come out on top. Alan says we might be able to buy this new Ampero next year in the UK at an inflated price. I hope not, man. I hope you're going to be able to get it sooner than that, and hopefully the prices will not be crazy again. Larry loves his HX Stomp and he uses it every day. One of the things I got to figure out with this particular unit is just how to do certain things. I know you can use this unit in Stomp mode. So basically it's like you're emulating a board, and you're basically, the switches will control the individual patches. And you can use it as a regular multi-effects where every patch is its own thing. But I haven't worked out all the nuances in terms of like, okay, if I have a sound pre-programmed in there and I want to have a clean sound and then jump to a dirty sound, how to do it on the fly within the same patch, as opposed to switching patches and whatnot, things like that. So I still have to spend a little bit more time with that to be able to figure all those things out. Unfortunately, a lot of times the manuals with these units are not that great. And so you have to kind of figure it out the hard way, and sometimes ask some questions on some boards and whatnot, support groups, to be able to figure out how other people have done it. But, you know, so far just playing it here sounds pretty good to me. What I really like about this one is that it does support the effects loop. So I can actually put this on my board and then do a hybrid where I'm going through pedals as well as the multi-effects unit for the best of both worlds. Tonefish says Helix gives you new stuff and updates models. They haven't made anything obsolete. Yeah. Well, the head rush that I had was pretty cool as well. Magic Man still says analog still rules. I agree, actually. But it is getting, you know, it's something to think about because you do have so much more flexibility and it's just ease of use. Like if I go to a gig or if I go to a rehearsal and I bring my analog pedals, so I have to bring my pedal board, which is pretty heavy in itself. I got to bring my guitar. I got to bring an amplifier. And, it's basically you're carrying a lot of shit. And if I go with this, well, I can throw this in my case or in a small bag. I have everything in there. I just grab my FR speaker cabinet and my guitar, and I'm good to go. The speaker is relatively light, and it could hang very, very well in a gig situation because it's extremely loud. Has a more than ample bottom end if you want to, do the metal thing. You can definitely do the metal thing, and yeah, it's a logical thing to want to do, to simplify your life and to basically be able to tune in all of the sounds specifically to every single song that you're playing. So if I have 3 sets and each set has 8 songs, I can easily set up all of the sounds in a unit like this so that I have every single sound specifically going for every single song, which I can't really do that with pedals. I could get a generic overall sound, but I can't really get all of the sounds. It's close, but it's no cigar. Jamel, hey Jamel. Jamel says, I'm 100% individual pedals. Me too. I mean, I love pedals. I flip-flop, man. I just flip-flop all the time. I'm not a good example, Jamel. What else? What else? Guys, any questions beyond what we've already said? So just, again, I've been talking a lot about this multi-effects unit because I'm excited about it, but any other effects related questions or guitar related questions before we wrap up today's show? We've been going for an hour and a half already. Tonefish says, my Ampero sits by my couch as my headphone amp in the living room. I gotta say though, the great advantage for home use with these multi-effects units is how easily you can actually practice with them. Because I play along with the songs when I try and rehearse and I try to learn the songs. And previously when I play through the amps, I gotta crank the amp, I gotta crank the music so I can hear myself over the music. And it gets loud, especially if you're trying to emulate that drive sound or whatever. The advantage with these guys is with a USB-C connection that it has on the side there. You can plug it into your computer, your laptop. You can pump the music that you're listening through iTunes or whatever streaming service you use through the unit. So you can actually hear the music in the headphones as well as yourself playing. So you can actually tweak the sounds really, really close. A lot more close, in my opinion, than through the speakers to sound like the recording. And then just save that patch and you're good to go. And you're not bothering anybody. So you can practice at any time of day or night and you're not waking anybody up. So that's a huge advantage. And of course, if you're going away somewhere and you want to be able to practice on the road, it's a lot easier to throw something small like that in your bag than have to carry a whole bunch of stuff. Seth has an interesting question here. Hypothetical question. If you were playing a gig in a foreign country, had to arrive and receive a guitar directly from a local shop with only the factory setup, which brand would you choose? Only the factory setup. I would have to probably say PRS. Again, factory setup. I mean, the guitars could arrive with a factory setup, but they could sit in the store for a long time. And if people play the guitars and the store is not properly humidified and whatnot, I mean, it could still get out of whack. But let's just say, hypothetically speaking, that the guitar just arrived from the factory and is ready to go. I'm probably gonna say PRS or actually Sir. Those will be my 2 choices. Not sure why you're asking that question, but that's my answer, and I'm sticking with it. Jeff, sorry about that, man. Jeff says even listening to Tony talk about it is giving me a option paralysis. One of the things that you do definitely experience with multi-effects units, I have to say, and I've said it before, is the fact that you end up tweaking a lot. Because if you're like me and you're very anal about your sound and you want it to be close to the original, as close to the original as possible, you will spend many, many, many hours tweaking the sounds with one of these things, because you do have so many options built into either this one or any other ones for that matter. So that is one of the things I don't like, because yeah, you can definitely spend more time tweaking than practicing, and honestly you'll get a better sound by practicing than tweaking. Lugging gear is the worst part of gigging. And I don't know about you guys, I think I'm starting to get arthritis, man, because everything hurts. Everything. Actually, I'm lying. There's a little spot over my left knee about the size of a quarter that doesn't hurt. But beyond that, everything hurts. I wake up in the morning, my shoulders hurt, my hands hurt, my fingers hurt. I've even realized that my fingers are not bending anymore. The regular C chord, this thing here. Well, this finger's not bending all the way anymore. I can't bend it as tightly as I can, so I'm having trouble. And this is new, guys. This is new, and I'm freaking out a little bit. And I'm hoping it's just winter and humidity or whatever the hell it is. But I'm pretty sure I'm starting to deal with some sort of arthritis or something. I don't know. Oh man, it's getting old sucks. Magic Man says it's cool that it's actually giggable. I wouldn't have thought that it is. Every multi-effects units that I've tried so far, the affordable ones, have kind of failed for me in a live situation. And I've always returned to the comfort of analog pedals. I'm trying this one, and hopefully this one won't fail for me. But we'll only find out once we actually take it to a live rehearsal. The other aspect that has changed, and it's not a fair fight, because previously I was using my multi-effects units and I was going through a guitar cab. This time I'm going through the flat response speaker. So I'm hoping to get better results this time around with that in the mix. I'll let you guys know. The flat response speakers are really the way to go if you're playing around with multi-effects units. It's the way to go to get the sound that you're hearing through the unit without too much coloration, for sure. That's a good one. Robert Smith from The Cure said he knew he had broken through when he could hire someone to carry his Roland JC 160. Yeah, I don't have that yet, unfortunately. And that's true. As you get older, the pedal board shrinks. I think it's also because you kind of hone into what's right for you, and you don't have too many extra pedals that you don't really need. So you just go straight to the core pedals, and that's it. That's a good thing, man. I still am maxing out the outputs of my power supply. I still have about 8 pedals on my board. I'd love to have a board with only 3 pedals or 4 pedals. Yeah, Rico, the Black Friday deals. To be honest, I've been looking here in Canada. Very, very slim in terms of Black Friday deals. You'll get like a 10% or a 15% discount on patch cables or something like that at your local store. No big deals that I come across here in my local stores. It's always disappointing whenever I walk into a store these days. It's always the same humdrum stuff that they have, nothing really new, nothing really to get excited about. So, but I'm still keeping my eyes open for deals. And if I do come across any cool Black Friday deals between now and Black Friday, you can be sure I'm going to share it with you guys. If anybody here has come across good Black Friday deals, either in Canada or the United States, please share with us. Jeff, permanent solution for pickguard static. I would say the thing that I tried that actually worked for me, two different things. Definitely you want to make sure that your guitar is properly grounded and shielded. And then one of the things that I actually tried and it worked was you take your pickguard and you rub it with an anti-static dryer sheet. Front and back, reinstall it, and it seems to do wonders. It really does get rid of the static. So try that and let me know if it works for you, man. Fat Philosopher says a question. A guy is giving me a free Lefty Strat copy. Problem is he used regular screws in the bridge and stripped some of the holes. Easy repair or too much trouble? I don't think that's complicated repair. Basically a dowel and wood glue and you're good to go. If the hole's small enough, even a toothpick or a skewer stick will work. If the hole's a bit bigger, then you can just put in a dowel. You can find the smallest dowel that will fit the hole. If it doesn't fit properly, just drill the hole so that it's the same size as your dowel. Put in some wood glue, put it in there, cut it out, and you're good to go. Put a new screw in there and you're in business. Very easy to fix. And the lucky thing is that it's under the bridge, so it's easy to hide too. BC Rich 581 says, I picked up a Class D bass head from Carvin when the company shut down, and I really do like it, and it's just so much lighter than my vintage PV Mark IV head. Yeah, because there's less in it. Class D is a lot of power. Randy wants to know, where did I end up placing my Univibe? Great question, Randy. Randy, my pedal board is still in the case from the last session. I tried it in a couple of different things. It didn't work for me in the effects loop. I figured at first I would put it between my reverb and delay in the effects loop. That didn't work. It sucked a lot of sound out of the chain for some reason. So I ended up putting it in the front of the amp, and I put it somewhere in the middle. So after my tuner, and my drive pedal, then I had the Univibe, and then it would go into the EQ, and finally into a boost. And that worked much better for me. So I hope that answers that question. All right, guys. Thanks, Jamel. Again, like I said, I flip-flop all over the place. So today I'm going to be raving about the multi-effects unit, and tomorrow I'll be raving about, the joys of analog again. So it's just, one of those things. You have to bear with me on that. Tonefish says, when with the full Helix, I sit down, pair amps in stereo just for fun, and waste hours. Well, it's not really a waste. One of the cool things that I found that I can do with the Ampero Stomp, and this is just something I recently realized, is that, when you're dealing with an acoustic guitar sound, You know, usually you'll pull up an acoustic guitar patch and you'll play with that, right? And that's it. Well, I actually thought of it would be cool if I can mix an acoustic guitar with an electric guitar in the same patch. And I actually did that and it sounded pretty darn good. And you can mix both aspects of the acoustic and the electric to get exactly what you want. And it's almost like two guitars are playing in sync. It's pretty cool. So these are things that you can't normally do with a regular analog pedal board sometimes, you know. Larry says it takes me about a half hour just to warm up on guitar. That's true. Me too. Me too. I find that once you're in the zone, though, things tend to flow a little bit easier, Larry. But you do need that warm up period. I have seen Keith Richards' hands lately. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that. I was just showing my wife this morning because I was complaining about my fingers. And I'm like, I hope I don't end up with Keith Richards' fingers. And she's like, why? What's wrong with Keith Richards' fingers? And I pulled up an image and it's like, you know. His hands have definitely had a lot of wear and tear. I mean, the man is what, 77, 78 years old right now? But his hands look like they're, 140. If you just, Google Keith Richards' hands and you'll see what I mean. Andrew, yes, the Ampero does have a good Plexi model. Actually, it's got a few of them now. And it has a very good JCM 800 model in there as well. The only disappointing thing is that there's no Friedman models in there. And it's unfortunate, but I could probably get pretty close with some of the other ones. Yeah, so I'm not the only one, Paul. So Paul says, me too, everything hurts. Says, but my playing technique is way beyond my expectations. I had just a few years ago, and that is physical. Yeah, it really is. It's hard to find a solution. Like I just find like I don't have the mobility that I used to have. Even just like turning and your back, you feel every movement now. It's crazy. It just like snuck up on me. I'm not that old yet. Anyways, good morning, Guitar Junkie 35. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us here. Nothing is too promising. I agree with you, BC Rich. Keep your eyes open. Usually the week of is the week where everybody sort of starts announcing their stuff. So maybe it's a little too early. Anyone else grab the IK Multimedia 25 for 1 deal? I didn't grab it, unfortunately. No, Gear Junkie. I don't know if anybody else here did. That's a good point. If you buy used, every day is Black Friday. I agree. Hey, one of the things that I've been struggling with, and maybe you guys can help me out on this, is how to organize your sheets. Like if you guys play music live, or if you have a binder with your music, how do you guys organize your stuff? It's such a pain, man. I find, I know there's iPad software nowadays. You can load everything up on an iPad. I just don't like carrying iPads with me because there's too many things that could happen. The screen cracks, the battery dies out. So I go old school. I just print my stuff, and I usually have a 3-inch binder that I carry with me with all my stuff, because that's actually multiple 3-inch binders. That's where I usually put all of my tabs. And then if I have a 3 or 4 set gig, I'll just bring one binder. I'll pull out all of the sheets and put them in here. I usually don't need the sheets. I know all the stuff by heart, but it's good. It's reassuring to be able to have something in front of you at a glance, just in case you need it. but it's always a pain to print out the stuff and put it in order and then, just be able to find it quickly. But I do like having these in front of me because often if I am using a multi-effects unit, I also like putting additional information as like, like which under which patch, which patch is associated with that particular song, so I can find it quickly and whatnot. But I haven't found a better way of doing it, so I don't know what you guys do. If you guys have tricks, let me know. Yeah, arthritis is no fun, man. I agree with you, Alan. It's no fun. I don't know what you do. Is there any tricks, Alan? Like if you do have a flare up or something, like what do you do? Do you just take painkillers, or do you just apply heat or ice, or how do you try and get the joints moving again? Because it's really, I'm hoping it's not that, but it could very well be that, and it's just really just it's a real pain. So not only am I struggling with gas, I'm also struggling with arthritis, it looks like. So avoiding soy products, that's easy. I don't touch the stuff. And non-organic milk and eggs, really? So you're saying milk and eggs promote inflammation? Wow. Okie doke. Well, there's milk and eggs and everything, so kind of hard to do that. Jeff says the only multi-effects I got on with was the old Boss ME50 in stomp mode. That's because it's basically single pedals stuck together. Yeah, exactly. It was kind of very simplistic because for somebody who's used to using pedals, the same idea applies there, right? Yeah, Keith is already on his third pair of hands for sure. Now, Jeff, come on, be nice. It's true though. He does have a $1 million smile nowadays. Considering his teeth were rotting out of his head when he was 20, it's amazing how nice and new his teeth are now, right? Tonefish says he's noodling on the Helix now. Stereo Princeton sounds so good. Absolutely. I can't wait to do mine as well. Does the Ampero have a shimmer verb? It does. Yeah, it does have one. Alan says learning to play later in life is much harder. Your fingers and and other joints lose their suppleness, and the pain lets you know when to stop. Well, fortunately, it's not a question of pain yet. At least not in my hands. Everywhere else, hips, knees, feet, everything else. Yeah, but my hands, they don't really hurt. They just don't bend anymore. They just don't bend as easily anymore. Fat Philosopher says, I don't have your problem. If I play live, it's maybe one or two songs. I'm a hobbyist. Yeah, I think, if you're getting into quite a few sets, then the hard drive tends to get full quicker. Plus, you're under pressure and you're under stress, and you're a little nervous. So at the beginning, things need to kind of level out a little bit at the beginning, so you get into the zone, and then it's fine. But at the beginning, there's always that initial nervousness, and then things get kind of fall into place. So it's always good to have some sheets in front of you just in case. But the idea is not to like stand there and read your sheets. It's just really, you take a glance here and there, and that's about it. Yeah, alphabetical dividers is what I use. That's exactly what I use. I actually ordered another set from Amazon. They should be arriving today, hopefully. But yeah, that's generally how I do it, Seth. Old school. That's a great point though, Cohen. You know, I'd rather spend money on real stuff. It's true we don't necessarily consider the money we spend on software basically goes out the window because at the end of the day you're spending, let's say, maybe you buy some kind of a software patch or something like that that you use with your laptop and whatnot. At the end of the day, you don't have anything, right? So it's not like a pedal. You buy a pedal, you spend $100, but then you can sell that pedal and recuperate most of your initial investment. Whereas with software, you can't really do that. You know, so at the end of the day, if you spend $100 on software, down the road, you just lost $100. So I find that's a very good point. It's always good to have something in your hands. Well, Fat Philosopher, I'm definitely not going to be going vegan. Organic, possibly. But vegan, no can do. I need my meat. Leo, yeah, the curcumin, definitely people say that helps. I'm willing to give that a shot. Putting my hands in warm water before playing. That's a good tip. I like that tip, Alan. Seth says marijuana cream for hand pain. It's legal, y'all. True. CBD. Yeah. I don't know if CBD actually will work for... I guess it would work for pain. I guess so. All right. I feel the need to buy a PRS SC245. I know it's stupid. I already have a Fender Telecaster FMTHH. Comments welcome. Do it. It's definitely not going to be the same feel as your Telecaster. So I don't know what you're worried about there. I love the PRS 245. I'm a big promoter of the 245, and I would grab it. I get the same thing, Mark. After I play, I find the day after my hands are pretty stiff. So Mark's enjoying a little looper fun session with my PRS and my Mesa Fillmore. Yeah, that's a great thing to be doing on a lazy Sunday. Larry says his wife swears by a CBD ointment for arthritis. Hey, I'll give it a shot, man. Why not? Why not? What do I have to lose? Time to get a new job, Mark. I wish I could take CBD, but my stupid job forbids it. I guess it's because they can't really... If they do any kind of drug testing, it's kind of going to be giving them false positives, even though there's no element to CBD that will get you high, but I understand why they would do that. Gear Junkie says after Boss went to CMOS, the dirts all sounded the same. Digital delay talk is 1000% better. Digital understands dynamics now. Greater time to be a beginner. No more Mel Bay books. Yeah, I agree. The CMOS at the time, Boss was promoting CMOS. To me, I agree with you. It kind of was very generic sounding and didn't really have the added dynamics that people normally want. Andrew has a good question. How many signal chains can you play in the Ampero at once? Are you okay? So just so I know get this clear, Andrew, are you referring to how many effects you can play at once, or actual string of effects? Because if it's effects that you're referring to, it really depends on which effects you're using. The modulation effects definitely take more horsepower. And I find that you'll run out of horsepower once you start putting in 2 or 3 different modulation effects simultaneously. So that, it'll vary, is what I'm trying to say. Magic Man says the feds need to just legalize weed already. Well, come to Canada, man. It's all legal here. Cristiano says, do you exercise? Knee pain could be muscles. I don't exercise nearly enough, so I know it's not the exercise. It's probably lack of exercise, to be honest with you. I sit all day long in front of my computer for work and don't move nearly as much, and I think that's part of it. Alcohol is much worse for you than weed. Probably true. Stick to wine. They say wine's good for you, so I'm loving my wine. Fat Philosopher says it will probably take 1,000 years before Japan legalizes weed in any shape or form. I was surprised when they legalized weed here in Canada, but they did. And to be honest with you, I think, from my opinion, the result it's had is like, now that it's legal, kind of, it's no big deal anymore. I know there was the initial buzz and everybody's like, oh, we got weed, we can get weed now. And there was a bunch of companies that opened up that would grow this weed stuff, and they thought that they were going to get huge amounts of money, and the IPs went public for these companies, and they were expecting to make so much money, and it didn't happen, because I think everybody likes stuff that's not easy to get more, and at the end, now you can get it on any street corner. There's a lot of these government buildings that have opened up where you can just walk in and walk out with weed. So knowing you can get it any time, I think the thrill is a little bit less. Gear Junkie says those Fender set neck Telecasters were so sweet. It's a shame Fender stopped making them. I did try 1 or 2 of those in my time, and I have to agree, they did feel and play really great. So Mark says it's okay to take bills and drink, but weed is illegal. Makes no sense. Yeah, I agree, man. Pills. Yeah, I got it. Pills are even worse, for sure. Paul says, I took aging stuff at university. Speed of healing takes 3 times longer when you're old. So your hurts are compounding. When you're young, you are dealing with yesterday's ouches and not the last 3 days of them. Absolutely. And chronic stuff tends to stick around a long time. So it's very difficult to get rid of that stuff unless you take some drastic measures. Andrew says CBD is a miracle, helps my anxiety so much. You know what? I've tried CBD oil myself for sleeping and whatnot, and I don't know. It kind of makes me feel weird. It's I know there's no stuff in it that'll get you high, and it's not a high feeling that I get. But whenever I take CBD oil, it's almost like I feel like fatigued. Maybe it's because I'll take it in the morning. Maybe I shouldn't be taking it in the morning. Maybe I should be taking it at night. I'm not sure. But it just like, I don't know, it gives me a sense of fatigue. It's almost like my system doesn't like it. I've heard of that stuff, Wayne. That stuff for pain. And you say it works? Interesting. Take it easy, Cohen. There's so many remedies for different types of pain, guys. That yeah, it's really we can talk about this stuff all day long. All right, let's bring the stuff back to guitars and let's refocus. Oh man. I think the we've just taken a left turn in terms of where this conversation is going. This is not a medical show, so please keep that in mind. Any advice given on this show today is strictly a suggestion. Please consult with your doctor first. All right, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up. I've been yapping here for almost 2 hours. It's been a really great session this Sunday. I really do appreciate all your input on the health aspect as well as the gear aspect. And yeah, I'm not bringing the Sir to my jam tonight. No, I'm waiting to put in the pickups. As soon as I swap the pickups, definitely it's going to be at the next jam for sure. I'm hoping to do that soon. And actually, I'm hoping to actually even maybe record a video on the wiring up of the new pickguard before it goes into the guitar for any of you that are interested in seeing how to wire up humbucker pickups. I figured, what the hell? I'm doing it. I might as well record it and put it online as well. So stay tuned for that one. I agree with you, Andrew. The best medicine is more guitars. Absolutely. Quicksilver says, don't buy Chapman. I hate the brand. I don't know what's wrong with Chapman. I haven't actually ever purchased a Chapman guitar or had the desire to do so, especially since it's a reverse headstock on most of their guitars. I just don't like that. But for those of you that don't like the brand, I don't know why that is. Wayne says, I just swallowed 2 hours of the best medicine. Thanks a lot, Wayne. I appreciate that, dude. Jeff has a good advice here. I feel your pain. Yes, they have worked for me. That plus 2 liters of water today. Yeah, you know what? That's drinking water can never help. Never help. Never hurt. And I can't afford stem cell therapy at this point, so that's gonna have to wait. Oh, dude. All right, guys. Have a great Sunday. Make sure you maximize the rest of your day by playing as much as possible. And stay tuned. We'll be back next Sunday, same time, same place, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And definitely we'll have more gear stuff to talk about then. So stay tuned. Stay safe, guys. And remember, guitars, keep playing them. See you soon.